Ladies and gentlemen, we're at our third site, and the next site is really just a few yards away, so we're very close. And here we have our next new marker. And I'd like to call upon the Executive Director of the American Civil War Charitable Trust, a Vietnam veteran himself, and he is a camp commander. He is the founder of the Civil War Roundtable in Hatboro. He's a member of one or two camps and quite active in the Civil War history community and a portrayer of General George the Rock of Chickamauga Thomas, and that is Bill Vosseler. And Bill, I want you to come up and say a few words of greeting from the American Charitable Trust, and then I want you to lay the wreath with assistance.
Thank you, Andy. Memorial Day for me is a day to remember a couple of people. Joe Tangari, Billy von Bischofshausen, and a guy I met on Christmas Day, 1967. Blonde hair, blue eyes, big smile, puka shell necklace, and was dead the next day. More than me, my father-in-law lives with this every day. In January of 1945, while a rifleman with the 12th Armored Infantry, the 12th Armored Division, 66th Armored Infantry Battalion, they were crossing in front of Steinwall Woods, which is in Herlesheim, Alsace-Lorraine in France. When the fog lifted that morning, they found out they were caught flat-footed, and in those woods was the 2nd SS Panzer Division, a 10th SS Panzer Division, and the 22nd SS Panzer Grenadiers. Within a half hour, 48 of his friends were dead. Over 200 of the others in that battalion were dead. They were laying in the snow, their blood freezing in it. By the time that was over, he had been wounded and captured. Good friend of his, a guy by the name of Emery Upton, he was a half-track driver. He was in the rear with the gear. Everything was very disoriented. Communications had broken down. At the allotted time, he jumped in his half-track, goes out to the appointed place where he's going to meet his squad of 10 riflemen. These are guys he trained with in Texas, he shipped over with, he marched through Europe with. And on that day when he arrived, there was no one there to greet him. All 10 of those people were dead. So they joined 1,343,812 men and women who served this country and gave their lives. That's more than the entire population of Dallas, Texas, of San Diego, and greater than the 7th largest city in the United States, San Antonio. So we're here today to remember them, to remember what they did, remember what they stood for. The irony is that millions of Americans view this day as great shopping, the unofficial beginning of summer, the pool club opens, and yet millions more remember this day for what it is. The tragedy is, by the end of the week, more families will have a whole different appreciation for Memorial Day. And those are the ones we try to remember and try to help when the time comes. The trust we have about 200, probably close to 500 members right now who regularly contribute anything from $5 on up for us to be able to do this, to do battlefield preservation and scholarship. Two of our trustees are here, Tom Benner, I'm not sure who Tom is, and John Gavin, so I'd just like to mention them. And just, I don't have to thank you for coming out. You all know why you're here. We just remember.
Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate it very much for all your work that you do. And I have a little small token of our appreciation, which is a certificate of achievement for all your great services. Thank you. Thank you very much. And by the way, I don't know, did you mention that you funded the Stones? and continue to do that. So the plaques, the markers come free of charge from the Veterans Administration, but to place them in the ground on a granite base costs a little bit of money. And his charitable trust funds that and has been funding that for years. So very, very appreciative of that. Thank you. Here we have Dr. Silas Updegrove. And Dr. Updegrove was a Philadelphian who graduated from the University of Pennsylvania Medical School before the Civil War and was a physician in the city. During the Civil War, he was twice tasked to serve as a surgeon for a regiment. The first time he served with the 9-month battalion known as the 157th Pennsylvania Infantry Volunteers, and left that unit after 9 months and became the chief surgeon, and actually the only surgeon, for the 99th Pennsylvania Volunteers, which was a famous Philadelphia fighting regiment in the 3rd Corps. He served at Gettysburg, and all through the fall and winter and then into the spring of 1864 during the very bitter and bloody Virginia Overland Campaign, all the way down across the James River beyond Richmond and into the siege of Petersburg, and served over 1 year as the only surgeon for this fighting regiment. You can only imagine what wounds and sickness and devastation he had to deal with. After the war, he survived and returned to Philadelphia, and eventually, based probably on some of his experiences, wartime surgical experiences, he became a professor of medicine at the University of Pennsylvania, highly respected, wrote a number of articles for the Journal of American Medicine, was a respected member of the American Medical Association, and so on, and apparently was a member of the Grand Army, although I have been unable to find his post. May have been in post 1. I haven't checked those records yet. In any case, he is lying here. He was in an unmarked grave. We didn't know about him until Russ Dodge brought that information forward. We're very appreciative of that. Thank you. And we're now able to mark his grave, and he'll be remembered along with all the other thousands of veterans who are interred here. So with that, I'd like to call upon the wreath. First, the wreath for Silas Updegrove, right there. Would you be kind enough to lay the wreath? Carol, would you come too? Carol and Bill. Attention, honor guards. And on Cadet Ray to strew the traditional flowers or petals. Cadet Ray. Be generous. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we will call upon the, Captain Harris and the honor volleys. Fire in the hole.
Firing by company ready? At elevation, aim. Fire! Load. Firing by company ready? At elevation, aim. Fire! Load. Firing by company ready? At elevation, aim. Fire!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go just 20, 30 yards over to the veterans plot.